Hello. Hello, I'm waiting for my people. I'm sorry I'm late 11 minutes because this is my first time live streaming my videos, not apart from the exercising one. I just did the Chinese one, and it took me much longer than I had planned. So I had to take some time to prepare. So my first time. Hello. I hope you can see me well. Oh, I think it's better to use my laptop. I used my cell phone earlier, live streaming in Chinese, but we're going to do English this time. I think it's pretty clear. Let's see. The reason why I wanted to do the 5 questions psychologists use to discover, to know people, not just because they know how to get to know people in the fastest, the quickest way, the most efficient way, and to know people to the deepest part, to the bones. Also because their perspective are just so different from ours. From very, I would say, useful in a way to our development, to human growth in that way. So here are the 5 questions. I'll start with number 1 is, how is one's general attitude toward self? Basically, is the relationship with oneself. Because most of the time, we are not aware that we have a relationship for ourselves. When we talk about confidence, which means I trust myself. That's confidence. If I say I'm going to run tomorrow, I know I'm going to run. That's confidence. If I say I'm going to run tomorrow, I don't feel confident about that, which means I might not do it. So this is the first. And so we have different relationships with ourselves. So to see how with myself is basically to discover how much egocentricity, the amount of egocentricity inside us. The most interesting, let's say, the person, if a person has this know-it-all, has this self-righteous attitude, so it's very obviously that person is egocentric or has a lot of pride. And if that person, let's say, have a lot of attitude towards self, like guilt, I should have done this, I should have done that, and but I didn't do. So that person thinks he or she didn't live up to the high standard set up for herself or for himself. Then we see that person lacks self-compassion or is pretty harsh on the self. So that's not very positive either. And the third, let's say, if we see a person has a lot of cynicism. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't put on the microphone. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that. Nobody complained. Okay, I'll put it on here. Sorry. Can you hear? I hope so. Okay, if there is too much noise, please let me know. So if a person has this cynicism attitude, like, oh, the world is unfair. What can I do about it? So this person has disdain for any pursuit of success, and is has this aversion to any kind of efforts. So basically, if that person you wanted to take as a serious partner, you should be thinking about that for a second time. Another very important question is that, are those people aware of their attitude toward themselves or not? That's very important, because, for example, if somebody is very egocentric, but he realizes that, or she realizes that, oh, am I talking too much? Am I talking all about myself? Then we see the awareness there. So if that person has this awareness of his shortcoming, or the room he can improve, he can change, then it's different. Then that person can have an opportunity to grow. Sorry. This way. Oh, finally. What's the attitude? Let's say if a shoot person, I haven't lived up to all my shoes. I should have done this. I should have been this nice. And if that person has the ability to see something positive in him or in her, then that's a very positive attitude. So there is a more constructive striving inside that person. Is good sign. And let's say if somebody feels hopeless, and he's aware, basically, if he's aware that he is hopeless, which is good thing, because hopeless is only when the situation stays the same, stays status quo. Once that person changes that attitude, then the situation will improve. So if that person realizes that, then there's hope there. And the second question is that, what is one's attitude toward others? Basically, is one's attitude, one's relationship with other people. If one is very demanding, so this person believes that he or she should be in control, should get things from outside, from others, then that's a controlling and aggressive attitude. So if another person is very apologetic, which means this person needs approval or acceptance from the outside. That's the way how that person can consider to be safe, or consider how that person can live in this world. And another person might feel very victimized. Oh, I'm screwed, like everybody is against me. So that person basically doesn't cope with problems in life. Instead, rather complain. So, however, whenever there is a problem, this person feels overwhelmed. But at the same time, there is anger inside, because he wants to have things solved. He wants to get out of this situation. So the anger was repressed there. That's why this attitude comes up. And another one is defensive. It's not like reasoning defensiveness. Let's say if we say, hey, I think you are too rude to the waiter. So the healthy one will just pause and think, oh, am I like, yeah, well, what's the situation here? Trying to reason. However, if this person just respond it instantly, like with anger normally, like, what? I think the waiter is rude to me first. Then I'm just doing whatever I'm supposed to protect myself. So then this person basically see any suggestions, anything as coercion inside of that person. And that person is trying to protect his or her value, trying to protect self from recognizing the claims, or basically the waiter should treat me that way, and if doesn't, so I'm entitled to either attack or criticize. So basically is protecting this claim. Another important factor to discover a person's relationship with others is to see whether or not there are any people in that person's environment will offer warmth, encouragement, support, because this is so important, because we all have downtimes, we all have problems, we all have like frustration. During those times, we need sometimes just a little bit nudge to push, a little bit of force, then we can catch on to push us out of the situation. The third question is that, does one have a tendency to deal with concrete things or just a theoretical consideration? Basically, it's like, will this person have the attitude of taking action or just living in the fantasy of one's mind? For example, when people talking about living healthy life, if that person just talks about, oh, I think I should go hiking and eat healthy food and go out, walk more, and so, but find all kinds of excuses not being able to do that. So that's basically living in the fantasy world. If a person talking about living a healthy life and then make a very concrete plan to take concrete steps, let's say, oh, you know what, I'm going to go out Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 7 o'clock in the evening. I'm going to like jog or run or walk. So those are a concrete plan. By the way, so there will be backup plan as well. Oh, what if my friends call me on Monday 7 o'clock and says that want to get together or for dinner? So, oh, if that person calls, I'm going to say that let's switch our getting together to Tuesday, Thursday, or Saturday, because those are the days I'm off. So those are the people who are willing, who are ready, basically ready to take concrete steps. And for the people who are living in the fantasies, normally when you point that out, that person have all kinds of rationalization for that. For example, if one person talks about wanting to go out to do exercise, and if you say, oh, like, why don't you do that? And this person will say, you know what, like, I don't want to work out or do exercise by myself. It's boring. Then if we suggest, oh, you can just go to there on Meetup. There are so many people, you can work with them. This person will say, oh, you know what, those people work on Meetup, they like to work out in the morning, 10 o'clock. I'm not a morning person. Then we'll say, how about in the evening, right? There are people who like to work in the evening. Then this person, oh, you know what, evening is the most creative time I have. I wanted to spend the time doing my creative work. So full of rationalization, like not being able to fulfill the whatever the task. So this person basically, when talking things in fantasy, is basically cheating self as well. But the self can feel that. You cannot cheat yourself. So what's the response for the self? The self is going to create guilt feelings. So that's why people who just keeps talking and without doing things always feel guilty. So guilty is very negative, energy consuming thing. The easiest way to get rid of the guilt feeling is so easy. Just admit it. Just burst up the bubble.
I am just talking in my mind. So once you do that, the guilt feeling will go away. The energy wasted on the guilt feeling will be transferred to something like positive, maybe to actions. Another aspect to see how does the person deal with concrete things is to see how one is willing to put efforts to work or just expecting magic to happen. Let's say I wanted to get rich. Do I have concrete plans or steps to work toward that? What I'm going to do instead of, oh, I'm going to buy a lottery and then I'm going to win a lottery. So without having to do anything. Or when I'm ill, I have a knee problem, I have shoulder, I have heart problem, high blood pressure. If I go to see a doctor, the doctor will subscribe some pills for me. Then I'll get well without me doing anything, without me cooperate by, let's say, losing some weight or change my lifestyle. So, and when I have emotional problem, like mental problem, I'm depressed or other things, if I see a psychotherapist, then my life will be transformed. If I go to a live event, so my life will be transformed without me making any efforts. If I'm lonely, as long as I find Mr. Right, Mrs. Right, then my life will be wonderful through the marriage. I don't have to practice being responsible, to practice improving myself. So without me doing any efforts. The first question is that the psychologist wants to know is, what's one's attitude toward suffering or hard time? So there are two kinds of suffering. One is the real one, the genuine one. Let's say I'm ill, I lost my job, I'm in financial problem or whatever condition, and oh yeah, I'm hurt by a loved one. But another suffering is created by the mind. For example, I lost my job, so which is not a nice thing, but none of my family is willing to help me. So I feel so hurt. So the second layer of suffering is all created by the mind, because I have a claim, expectation that my family should help me. If they don't, then I'm suffering because I created this claim, this expectation. I think it should work. So this is the suffering just created by oneself. It's not a real one. Now, let's say even in a real situation, those are real suffering, is one just use this suffering to get spurred onto constructive efforts, or use those situations as alibi. For example, you know what? I lost my job. I have to steal. How can I survive? Right? That's an alibi. Or, you know what? My ex hurt me so bad, had an affair, whatever, stole the money from the family and left me. And I have to revenge. What else can I do? And he or she is deserve it. So I use that serve as a basis for claim. The fifth question is one able to see cause and effect relationships? Oh, people think this is so obvious. Cause effect, right? When I'm hungry because I haven't eaten for a day. I'm tired because I didn't sleep well last night. But it's not that easy. Let's say if one had a car accident, one might say, what's heck? Why this happens to me? That person couldn't see he or she is drunk driving, or is speeding, or doesn't wear seatbelt. So if you put all those three factors together, speeding, drunk driving, and not wearing seatbelt, see the chance, how much chance is it there to have a car accident? So we all know Princess Diana had that car accident. All those factors were there. The driver was speeding and drunk driving, and Diana and her boyfriend didn't wear a seatbelt. Okay, so, but for the people who are doing reckless driving, checking their phones on when they're driving or speeding, they don't think so. They harbor a claim of non-violable attitude. Nothing can happen to me. If anybody else doing this, they could be harmed, but not me. I'm the exception. So people don't see they don't have the ability to see the cause and effect relationships. This is so important for the psychologist to know people. So it's very interesting that the psychologists, they ask questions different from us. They look at things from different perspective, right? When we want to know somebody, we don't use those methods. But why psychologists use those 5 questions, like your attitude toward yourself, toward other people, toward things, toward suffering, and toward and the last one is cause and effect. Why? Because the psychologists are trying to figure out the proportion, like what is the predominant force in a person, like how much constructive and or destructive or negative energy in a person, and where are they exactly, right? Even for a people pleaser, overall it's negative. However, if that person can see some positive in oneself, then there are still a lot of things can work on, a lot of positive strivings can work on. So I want to do this not just because I want to help people to learn how to know other people, know your bosses, know your colleagues, your spouses, your friends, your families. So it's easier for us to see other people, to waste less time and energy. Also, it's very important because those are the tools to turn around, look at ourselves. How are we doing? So it's hard for us to see ourselves. When we see ourselves, that's the big step in knowing oneself. Because to improve oneself, to grow, the number one step is to get to know oneself. It's hurtful sometimes to know the truth about the self, but those are very effective tools, very effective tools. So by knowing oneself, what I want people to know is that not blaming or not getting upset with oneself. Getting to know oneself is the first step to break the bubble. It will cause some anxiety because we're not prepared to deal with anxiety. We have those things. Basically, we need the protections. We need the things to make ourselves feel safe, to establish the life equilibrium. So by seeing those shortcomings or imperfections, it really is scary. It's a scary and anxious feeling. But there are always ways. There are ways to deal with anxiety. There are proper ways, healthy ways to do that. I'm going to make more videos gradually to do that. Self-growth is a lifelong journey, and self-growth can really bring us the meaning of life and really the real way to live an authentic life. I don't know. Thank you very much for your time. I think today takes longer than I thought. If you have any questions, mm, what I'm present. Thank you for following me. Some people said they don't quite understand, still following me. And how long can learn English? How long does it take? It depends on how much time do you spend on English every day. To spend more time, I hope you can hear me all right. Okay, so for the people who wanted to learn Mandarin, I did a Mandarin version of the same video in my channel. I put it on here. So you can click the link up. Let me see here. Yes, I think if you if you check that, you copy and paste, you can find my Chinese channel to watch my Chinese version of this video. Thank you for a thumb up, and thank you for joining me today. I'll just edit this video a little bit in the beginning, maybe at the end, so you can watch the whole thing in my Strength Within channel. Thanks for your time, and see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you.